If you're looking to improve your aim, then make sure to check out Control Freak and use the code OGXRAYZ to get 10% off all the products. Link in the description below. Yo guys, what's up? It's XRAYZ and welcome back to another video. So today I wanted to talk to you guys about a game I recently played through, kind of give my impressions of the game, kind of a review, nothing super crazy in depth, but really to give you guys an idea of whether or not you should get The Medium, which is a brand new survival horror game that came out on Game Pass, PC, and Xbox. And I just kind of wanted to give you guys my impressions of it. Now, this is actually a game that was added to Game Pass on launch day, which is actually pretty freaking cool. So for you guys that have Game Pass who are paying the, you know, $10.99 or $15.99, whatever rank you guys have, you guys can actually play this game for free with this, so which is actually really cool. I mean, obviously it's not free because you're paying for a membership, but it's pretty cool that you get to play a game that is completely new on launch day with your subscription service, which is actually kind of sweet. So with that said, let's go ahead and jump into it. I don't really do reviews and stuff, so just think of this as a perspective of someone who plays video games but doesn't do it for like review purposes. I just play it to have fun, and I wanted to talk about my experience with the game. So maybe you guys are someone who really doesn't play a lot of survival horror games and you just wanted like the perspective of someone like that. So let's jump into it. If you guys enjoyed the video, drop a like. If you guys are new, make sure to subscribe with notifications on. And if you guys want to support the channel directly, you guys can do so by checking out my sponsors, Control Freak and Scuff. I use them every day when I'm playing. Code OGXRAYZ gets you a discount over there. Or you can do so by checking out my Amazon influencer page if you guys would much rather do it that way. So with that said, let's go ahead and jump into it. So the gameplay you guys are going to be seeing is going to be some The Medium playing on the PC. I actually got this on Game Pass for PC, and we're going to be playing using the RTX 3090. It was actually interesting. I guess we'll start out with performance. So I was playing at 4K resolution with pretty much all the settings all the way maxed out. I think the only thing was, did I have DLSS on? I don't know if I had that on, but I was getting about, when I wasn't recording, about 100 frames, and when I was recording about 70-ish frames. Sometimes it would dip a little lower, so it's actually kind of crazy. I didn't think the performance would actually take that much of a hit, especially considering I'm using the RTX 3090. But it was actually kind of hard for this thing to get a consistent frame rate, I should say, with some of the higher settings. So I was a little bit shocked. So it's a very demanding game, which I thought was interesting, and obviously isn't too surprising. It is a little surprising, but not super surprising, because there are moments in the game where it's rendering essentially two different games at the same time when you're playing in that kind of split screen kind of format where you're seeing the other world or the spirit world, whatever you want to call it, and then the real world. I don't really want to spoil much of the story, but to give you guys a very, very vague synopsis of the game, this is a game where you play as a woman who has special medium abilities. She's able to see things in the real world and then also in the more spiritual kind of world at the same time. So she actually is able to see both of them. There's other characters in the game, and again, I really don't want to spoil the story for you guys that want to check out the game, but there's other quote-unquote mediums in the game, if you want to call them that, that you will play as kind of in flashback slash kind of vision type moments. So she's not the only one, but she is the main character. Now, in this game, there's actually a lot of moments where you walk around and it kind of gets into a split where you are playing simultaneously, side by side, the exact same room. One is kind of the real world one, the other one is the spiritual one, or the spirit world, whatever you want to call it. And sometimes you'll find clues on either one. Sometimes you'll play in one area where the clue to open something up is in the real world, other times it's in the spirit world. And on top of that, there's moments where you're actually able to completely swap over to the spirit world by holding down the B button, but that is for a limited time. If you actually stay in there too long, you will die. But when you do that, you're able to go through doors you couldn't do so that were in the physical world, and you can go complete puzzles and stuff like that. So right off the bat, I do want to mention that there is pretty much no combat in this game. It's also a fixed camera game. So what this means is that while you do have free range control of your character and you can go in whatever direction you want, the different rooms that you go into, and even within the same room, you'll have different camera angles. So there is no free roam camera. You can't use your right stick to look around the room. If you want an example of what this is like, think of the old Resident Evil games, or games like, for instance, Silent Hill. So these are the fixed camera controls. I also recently saw that they were doing a mod for Resident Evil 7 that also uses a fixed camera. So if you guys are not really used to that kind of format, then it might be a little strange for you, and it kind of gives you this feeling of like bumping around on walls and stuff like that. But you know, it's a play style, it's a way of playing the game, and a kind of an experience for survival horror games that a lot of survival horror people actually really enjoy. So I think if you enjoyed Silent Hill and the Resident Evil of old, where you had kind of like that little, I don't want to say tank control, but just like fixed cameras, then you'll probably enjoy this game. Like I said, there really is no combat in this game. It's really all about exploring different rooms, finding clues for the story. It's mostly a story-driven game, and it's very important on the narrative. I really don't want to spoil so much what it is, but needless to say, it's a very dark story, and it all kind of makes sense towards the end. But basically, you play as a medium who's trying to occasionally help people pass on. That's some of the puzzles that you can complete as well. And it is pretty straightforward, if I wanted to say that. It's not like Resident Evil where you have to go to multiple rooms, sometimes backtrack to the same room, or, you know, just had games like those are a little bit more, I don't want to say open world, because really they're not open world, but they have open world type feeling to it, where, for instance, I recently played through Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3, the remakes that they did. And Resident Evil 2 remake kind of felt a little more freeform, where yes, you're in one location, but you get to really go in multiple directions once you open it up a little more, and you complete puzzles by going back to other rooms where you had doors you couldn't access before. And in the medium, it's a little bit more straightforward. When you find items, it kind of just works. It's just like, oh, I found these bolt cutters. Well, now there's going to be a bunch of areas where I can use the bolt cutter on. And it's not so much like, oh, I have the bolt cutter, let me go to these 3 different areas that I need to go through and find stuff. It's really more, you find the bolt cutters, you get through maybe the 2 doors that you needed to get through in a very linear way to open up. So it's not like this super crazy puzzle you're trying to complete. Really, that is kind of saved for when you're doing stuff between 2 different worlds, or where you need to straight up go into the spirit world and kind of like your spirit form, if you want to call it that. So it's a little more linear than some of those other games like Resident Evil, like Silent Hill. So it's really mostly kind of depending on the story, because like I said, it's a pretty linear in terms of, you know, where you have to go. There's one area specifically where it felt a little more open and a little more challenging, where you are kind of in this underground bunker area. And so that one felt a little more open or freeform, but mostly throughout the game, it was very straightforward. And you knew where you had to get to, you knew what you needed to do. So it wasn't like, I'm lost, like, where am I supposed to go? It was pretty straightforward. So it's a very simple game in terms of that. In terms of the horror aspect, it had its scary moments, but I found myself throughout the majority of the game really kind of just enjoying the story and not so much being scared or running around scared. There's certain times in the game where you do face off against creatures, especially the one main creature or main boss that you deal with. You basically don't fight them. Like I said, there really is no combat apart from one portion of the game where you use a sort of spirit shield that you use to protect yourself. You sometimes use that spirit shield to get through rooms where you have like these, I don't know, moths, or I guess that's their moths or something like that, that are kind of in rooms, and you need to use your spirit shield to kind of push them away and get through the room, and if you don't, then you die. But really the only combat was using that same spirit shield to kind of bounce back attacks at like tentacles that are coming out of the ground. So it really wasn't like offensive, it was more defensive kind of combat, where you just kind of, if you time it right, you'll destroy the whips that are trying to hit you. So really no combat. And when you did face this gigantic boss, it really was more kind of sneaking around him, hiding behind stuff, getting through rooms. So there really wasn't a lot of combat. And because there really was small areas where you do try to avoid this guy, it wasn't like the whole game you're trying to avoid him. It's not like Resident Evil 2 or Resident Evil 3 where you had you know, Nemesis or the tyrants, etc. They're not following you all the time. There really was only scripted areas where he would pop up, and those moments were very tense and kind of scary. But apart from that, really everything else outside of the game was just kind of a dark atmosphere. It wasn't really like you were scared the entire time. So we talked about combat, we talked about the story a little bit, we talked about the gameplay mechanics. let's go ahead and just kind of end the video here in terms of what my final score is, and if you should pay full price for this game. Also, I do want to mention that these guys actually made back the cost of production and advertising on, I believe, the first couple of days, so huge on them, really happy for them. This is a very more experience than kind of gameplay type game, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a fun game. I didn't think it was as fun as some other games. I thought the story was really the centerpiece here, and I enjoyed the story. I thought it was an interesting story. I enjoyed walking around, learning more about characters through notes, through postcards, through the collectibles that you find, which are just like these memories you can pick up. So it was a fun experience. I wouldn't say it's an amazing game. I did see some other places like IGN gave it a 9 out of 10. I thought it was a slightly above average game. I'd give it maybe like a 7.5 or an 8. I definitely don't think it was a 9, but it was a fun game, and I played it again with Game Pass because it was there day one. So I enjoyed it. I played through it. If you're a Resident Evil fan, you probably won't really enjoy it much in terms of, you know, if you're someone who's looking for a lot more combat and a lot more intense puzzle solving, this probably isn't it. I think some people were maybe thinking this was like a Silent Hill-esque game, and it really isn't so much that. It has kind of the controls and the fixed cameras and a similar kind of eerie atmosphere, but it's kind of more of a story, like I said, narrative-driven game. So if you wanted to play a game that is very focused on narrative, does have a pretty dark atmosphere and a very dark story, and you do have some puzzle aspects, not super crazy, I'm lost kind of moments, then this is a game. I'd say this is for someone who is maybe not really into horror games but wants to try one that isn't super scary, that you're going to be, you know, crapping your pants. This might be a game they want to give a shot. But yeah, like I said, 7.5 or an 8 really is what I would give this game, and I'm really happy that they had it day one on the Game Pass. So thank you guys so much for watching the video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed my review. In the future, I'm planning on doing maybe more of these as I play through more games. Maybe I'll do that. So we'll definitely have to wait and see. Let me know what you guys thought of the video in the comment section below. Sorry if I rambled on at times. First time doing this kind of stuff. I didn't even do a script. I just kind of wanted to just talk off the cuff about what my thoughts were over the game. In the future, I'll try to be a little more organized. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Like I said, if you enjoyed the video, drop a like. If you guys are new, make sure to subscribe with notifications on. And if you guys want to support the channel directly, you guys can do so by checking out my sponsors, Control Freak and Scuff. I use them every day when I'm playing. Code OGXRAYZ gets you a discount over there, or through my Amazon influencer page if you guys would much rather do it that way. If you guys want to talk or interact with me, Twitter at OGXRAYZ is literally the best place to do so. Go ahead and give me a follow over there, link down below, or through my Twitch, twitch.tv/theOGXRAYZ. You guys have an awesome day. I'll see you guys in the next upload. Also, guys, use my creator code OGXRAYZ in Fortnite or in the Epic Store if you guys want to support me that way. But anyways, you guys have an awesome day. Take care. I'm out. Peace.